Hi, Facebook. It's Pamela. It is Friday. It has been a while since I've done a video because that is how life is. I've been working really, really hard on this parenting program that I'm launching, Peace Power Parenting. I'm super psyched. And so I thought I would hop on and do a video about the great discipline myth, something that I was super confused about because I had all of these kind of preconceived ideas and beliefs around discipline and around spoiling my kids. And I was definitely raised in a very gritty, tough love kind of mentality, which is great because I'm super resilient and gritty. And there is this kind of big sweet spot that I love to speak to because it is so powerful when we can really untangle in our head what this discipline myth is and what really spoils our kids. Because obviously we all want our kids to turn out to be healthy, happy, kind, resilient, brave humans, right? And so what do we need to do as parents to empower them to be that as they grow up? Right. And since I was raised in this kind of tough love mentality, there were a lot of times when I was kind of traumatized a little bit about the way that my parents raised me and the environment in which I was raised. And that's normal and it's okay, right? So there's no such thing as perfect in any of this. So this is not coming from a judgmental place. I love and so appreciate my parents. And my own evolution of parenting, I think, has gotten to a deeper, more subtle kind of appreciation for the sweet spot. And one of the things I learned when I was at the Beacon program about dialectic behavioral therapy was the give skill. And I love talking about the give skill because it applies to everything. It applies to our relationships with our kids, our partners, at work. And the give skill is G for gentle, I for interested, V for validating, and E for easy. And at first, it's kind of tricky, right? You think, wait, I'm supposed to be gentle and easy on my kids? Because if I'm gentle and easy on my kids, isn't that going to spoil them and end up with them being weak? Right? And that's like a really common, I want to be gentle and kind of easy on them, but I don't want them to become weak and spoiled. So I love to talk about this because this is what I call the great discipline myth, that if we're gentle and easy on our kids, they're going to end up being spoiled and weak humans. And that's actually not the case. So I love to explain how this all works. So this is the deal. When we are gentle and easy on our children and on each other, that is about kind of appreciating the reality of how hard it is to be human. Being human is hard. I'm a 40-year-old woman. I still mess stuff up every day, right? I know I mess stuff up every day. And when I mess stuff up, that's my opportunity to learn. That's my opportunity to kind of embrace the discomfort of what I just did imperfectly and get back up and try again, which is, of course, what we want our children to be doing. We want our children to embrace failure, to embrace being out of their comfort zone, to embrace, taking risks and getting back up and trying, 10,000 times to invent the light bulb, right? So by us being gentle and easy on them through that process, it's supporting them to face that discomfort and get back up and try again, right? So this is the deal. When I say being gentle and easy, that doesn't mean we don't hold them to super high standards. And Angela Duckworth talks about this in her fabulous book, Grit, which if you haven't read Grit, it is awesome and I highly recommend it. But she talks about having these high standards and high levels of warmth. And that is kind of the wise parenting quadrant. So we want to hold our kids to these high standards, doing it in kind of a gentle, easy way, moment to moment. So I also like to say, expectations are kind of tricky, right? We don't want to necessarily hold our kids to high expectations because then they will disappoint us. And we've all been on the receiving end of disappointing someone. We know how horrible that feels. You feel not good enough and you feel like, well, I'm not going to take that risk again because I just disappointed them, right? So we don't want to kind of be in this high expectation place where if our children don't get up to bat and hit a home run, maybe they strike out, we're disappointed in them. They feel that. And it's even more uncomfortable than the internal discomfort that they're experiencing for striking out, right? So the subtle difference is I like to say, hold them to high standards and high expectations in the process, the process, the effort that they're putting in. How much attention are they paying? How gritty, how much are they kind of not giving up? How creative are they being? Those are kind of the standards that I like to focus on. And then when they don't hit it out of the park, right? If my son forgets to clean up his plate after he eats, There's no shame, a little bit of healthy guilt, like, hey, buddy, like, look at the table. Is something not quite the way that we, want it to be when we're done eating? And you support them, because all of this stuff is hard, right? Depending on how old your kid is. I mean, I'm 40. I mess stuff up every day. I'm still learning, still growing. And so depending on how old your kid is, you're going to have different kind of developmental, stages of what they really can do from an executive functioning standpoint, from a communication standpoint. They're going to be like, still in their own world of being imaginative and thinking about what happened earlier in the day. Like, you want to support them through this whole process. So this is kind of, as I said, what I said, that great discipline myth, that being gentle and easy on them will spoil them. So what does spoil them? Like, what can we do as a parent that is going to spoil them, to mess them up, to disempower them? It's super important to be super clear what that is. So first of all, whenever we do things for them, we solve their problems for them, we protect them from the natural consequences of their mistakes, that is going to disempower them and spoil. I mean, that term spoil, right? It's like rotten. It's going to disempower them and not lead them to be strong, resilient, brave, healthy humans. So we need to let our kids mess up. We need to let our kids feel the pain, the natural pain of their mess up. We need to make our kids do the work. I was not, anyone who knew me as a kid, I was not a neat child. I was messy. And I was not good at cleaning. And there's a lot of shame and guilt around that. And it was kind of traumatizing. And up until I was like 35, I thought that I actually couldn't be clean. I couldn't fold laundry. I actually couldn't do it, which is ridiculous, obviously. But my son is really similar. He's not a naturally kind of neat child. And it's hard for him to kind of look at all the toys that are everywhere and be like, oh, this is overwhelming. How am I going to get all these away? Like, how am I going to clean this up? And so I get it. I understand that this is hard. And so I support him. He still has to do the work, but I will help him. I will kind of stand shoulder to shoulder with him and be like, yeah, it is hard after you've had this awesome time playing and there's like a gazillion toys everywhere. You look at this and you're like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. I get that. And we can do this. Like, we can help each other and we can do this. So there's this dance, this art of being a parent that, like, you need to support your kid, but not support them too much. And there's a sweet spot in there, and it's never perfect. And you kind of surf it, right? You surf it. At the end of the day, I always ask myself, what lesson is my child learning right now? What are they learning? And I always want to make sure that they're learning the lesson I want them to learn. And if I'm not clear, I ask them. Like, you can talk to your kids and be like, what are you learning right now? Like, what's the lesson? What did you just take away from that conversation we just had? And sometimes my son will tell me something and be like, well, that was not what I meant you to learn. And then you can engage on it. But at the end of the day, we need to empower our kids. We need to discipline them to empower them. And that's tricky because every kid is different. This is not a one-size-fits-all solution. So knowing your kid is super important. Knowing the developmental milestones, like where is your kid at? Knowing the different strategies, the different techniques, and then how to practice them, how to surf it is super, super important. And all this is stuff that I am covering in Peace Power Parenting that I'm super excited about. And I am kind of launching it right now. Enrollment is open. It's a 4-week program online, and you get one-on-one coaching with me. I'm capping it at 15 people because I want to make sure that 15 people get my undivided attention, and I make sure that they cross the finish line, learning everything that I know and then practicing it. Because at the end of the day, right, knowing is half the battle. You may know what you're supposed to do, what we ideally will do. Practicing it is a whole nother ball of wax. And so practice makes progress. So you need to learn the skills, the strategies, the practices, and then you actually practice it and get better and better and better at it. Take it to higher levels of mastery. So that's what Peace Power Parenting is. It's all about tapping into this power that we have as parents to be the source of peace and strength and wisdom, light and love, and then lead by example. Teach our children how to be that out in the world. So that's the program. You can go to peacepowerparenting.com to get more information. Registration closes February 5th. So February 5th, whoever signed up, we're moving forward. And it's going to be really, really awesome. I'm super excited about it. So hopefully you'll check it out. Any questions? Any questions? I did quote G.I. Joe. I watched G.I. Joe as a kid. Like G.I. Joe, Knowing Is Half the Battle. That was like a big part of my childhood. I mean, I kind of identified with G.I. Jane, but you know, like it was a big part of my childhood. So yeah. You mean your parents didn't follow the manual they were given when they left the hospital, right? Wouldn't it be great if kids came with manuals? Like if we had manuals, because I did a training this week with Tournesol Kids, which it's TOURNESOL, Tournesol Kids. And you actually can take assessments to figure out what your kind of superpower is. And it's based on the Chinese medicine 5 elements. And it's so good because we're all different. I'm wood, which is like, you know, I'm going to make things happen. I'm moving, I'm taking action. I'm very wood from a Chinese, you know, medicine perspective. Jessie is fire. Talia is water. And knowing that helps us navigate what our predispositions are and what their predispositions are, what they need. Like I need freedom. Freedom is my number one need. Second is joy, because I'm also very fiery. But Jessie, he's fire. So he needs joy. And when he doesn't have joy, it's like, oof, right? Talia is water. So she needs, what does she need? Peace? Yeah, she needs peace, which peace, power, parenting, good thing, right? But anyway, check that out because that's really awesome. I got on a tangent, but yeah, there's just so much to learn about being a parent, about being human. And that's the thing too, like being human, as I always say, is so hard and it's awesome and it's exciting and it's like this beautiful adventure. And we can get better and better and better at it. There's higher and higher levels of mastery that we can get on all this stuff. And if at any point you catch yourself being like, oh, I know that already. I know that already. That's closed mind thinking. That's fixed mindset, right? We want to be like, okay, I know this. Can I be practicing this at a higher level? Because all of this is practice and you get better and better and better at surfing. So thank you so much for listening. Peace, Power, Parenting. I'm super excited about it. It's really going to be great. And this first beta launch, having one-on-one time, I know it sounds kind of like, who do I think I am kind of thing, but it really is going to be awesome because we are all so unique. To be able to spend one-on-one time to really dig deep into your unique dynamic as a parent and your children's unique dynamics as like little people that are unique snowflakes, right? Having that one-on-one time is super, super, super valuable. And I'm doing all that for free, like the cost of the program. I'm just doing the free one-on-one time. So it really is an awesome value. And registration is closing February 5th. So Peace, Power, Parenting, check it out. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for listening.